Who are the strongest characters in Boruto? A question that's been thrown around the community for some time now. The skepticism stems from a huge power cliff that took place after the Naruto era. With the lack of concrete connections to scale certain characters above others, it makes it even more difficult for us Boruto fans to scale characters accurately. A good chunk of this list will consist of characters with godlike and world-changing abilities, but without further more, let's get into the video. Number 5, Kawaki Uzumaki. This one is a pretty easy pick for just about anyone's top 5 list. Ishiki's power was so vast that Jigen's body, despite the various enhancements he gained to be powerful in his own right, had difficulty containing it, preventing him from using the full extent of it. While limited, he could pressure both Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha, the two strongest shinobi in history, and upon exerting himself more and more, he decisively defeated both of them, sealing one of them and almost killing the other. Amato described Ishiki's power as being so immense that if he were to be able to fully harness his true powers, he could destroy Earth with no one being able to stop him. Kawaki is implied to be a better vessel than Jigen, meaning that Ishiki's powers in Kawaki's body is better built for success. Now that Kawaki has seemingly got all 8 of Ishiki's tomos and simultaneously gained the ability to fly, it should be no excuses for Kawaki being able to tap into Ishiki's full amount of power via the karma given to him by Amato. It seems he's realizing that true power. This power comes from a villain stated to have unstoppable godlike powers, narratively portrayed to be above the likes of Kaguya Otsutsuki, Hokage Naruto, and Sasuke Uchiha, stated to be Boruto's strongest and most evil foe up to that point. I think this is due to the numerous amount of hacks abilities. Sukuna Hikona and Daiko Kuten are the most dangerous of these techniques. Casted by his mysterious Shinjutsu Eye, Kawaki can shrink and restore himself or non-living things instantaneously. Other than a small number of characters, most combatants would have a hard time countering such game-changing abilities. Also, with the statements of Unlimited Code being weaker than Ishiki, it only makes Kawaki scaling much more concrete. Number 4, Boruto Uzumaki. After 3 years of training to become strong enough to stop Code, Boruto has returned with a chip on his shoulder. Based on the initial time skip intro, Boruto and Kawaki seem to be extremely comparable, almost to the point of being equal combatants. The reason why I have Boruto higher on this list is because of his Jogan Eye, implied to be the rarest form of ocular jutsu and a power that will eventually save the universe. It can perceive the flow of chakra, enabling Boruto to see visible changes in one's chakra and likewise track a target through their chakra. It can clearly see the chakra pathway system and even the Tenketsu points around the body. It can also see through invisible barriers that connect between dimensions. The eye is related to the Otsutsuki's clan's dimensions, and its powers are the dojutsu equivalent of Naruto's ability to sense negative emotions. Boruto's superior strategical nature and unpredictability in tandem with the Jogan as well as future sight should be enough to take on Kawaki and most likely defeat him. Number 3, Daemon. This may come as a surprise due to his lack of connective scaling to the characters placed lower on the list, but Daemon's hacks abilities are more than enough for his placement. First off, we have the V-Jump promotional material stating that Boruto was preparing for even more powerful enemies, which would be a direct line of scaling for Daemon above Ishiki. Adding this on top of his reflection ability, it makes him unstoppable. Just imagining injuring or killing Daemon is enough to trigger this ability. Instantaneous reflection that kicks in regardless of Daemon's intent. The stronger the intent to kill, the stronger the ability reflects. This is quite literally an ability that no one can counter, not Kawaki nor Boruto. This is supported by Code's statement of saying that Daemon's power is simply on another level in comparison to his own. A Code that has a ton of confidence in taking on Boruto in the time skip, who he's been chasing for about 2 years or so. So based on those two different things, you would have Daemon above Code and then Code to Boruto or Kawaki in the time skip, or you can just do Daemon above Ishiki somewhat comparable to Kawaki in some ways, even though I do think Kawaki is slightly stronger. But either of those two scalings work. I'll hold this as the baseline higher assertion until it's some formidable evidence that confronts it. But bottom line, bro, Daemon is a monster and arguably should be higher on this list. Number 2, Eida. A being with omnipotent all-knowing ability, her Sharingan Eye allows her to see, know, and control everything in the world. With her skills, she could force the lower members on the list to fight against armies of fighters. I think the V-Jump statement is good enough to use for Eida scaling above Ishiki and then therefore Kawaki. The other usable scaling comes from her asserting dominance over Unlimited Code, stating that she'd kill him if he got in her way. Some people may attest this to Daemon being ordered to kill Code instead, but this is flawed since she usually specifies when she's referring to Daemon, and in the statement she doesn't imply that whatsoever. So Eida above Code, who's probably somewhat comparable to Boruto and Kawaki, can also work, but the main contentious topic of this is Eida versus Daemon, which I'll probably end up making an in-depth video on pretty much later. But my rationale is Eida's narrative is portrayed as being the queen and Daemon's narrative is to serve Eida as her knight. If anyone here is a chess player, we all know the queen is the most powerful and influential on the chessboard. As it stands, Eida has shown to consistently be the leader amongst their relationship. Kishimoto has always made it a narrative point that the leader is generally the strongest amongst the group. We see this with the Kage, the Akatsuki, and even with basic team structure. For example, Kakashi is put in a leadership position over Team 7, and we also see that Kakashi is the strongest amongst them. It doesn't stop there. I doubt Damon has anything in his arsenal to counter Eida's world-changing abilities, nor does he have the ability to fly, which we have already seen to give him a little bit of trouble. Furthermore, Damon has a weakness that Eida can exploit. Eida doesn't seem to have those equal sort of weaknesses. Even Bug says that Eida is in a completely different class in comparison to the other cyborgs, and this also includes Damon. People may use the simple taijutsu statement as a defeater towards Eida's scaling, but I think this is attributed to her technical usage, not the power of her attacks themselves. The statement about Damon being able to kill Eida also isn't really a contradiction to the idea either, since relative fighters can hurt and damage each other, maybe even kill one another. All in all, this topic is something that I go back and forth on a lot, but for now I'll stick with Eida being above. Number 1, Shibai Otsutsuki. Off the basis that Eida and Damon are number 2 and 3 on this list, Shibai Otsutsuki is deservedly number 1. Their abilities and techniques are derived from the DNA of Shibai, and Otsutsuki, who devoured many chakra fruit over a time frame of several millennia, eventually leading him to obtain the power of godhood. Shibai can create storms with the wave of a hand and thunderbolts from an angry roar. Shibai utilizes a technique called Shinjutsu, which allows him to bypass the use of hand signs to create jutsu. The major factor of Shibai is that he evolved so much that he turned into a peerless 4D transcendent being, whose need for a physical body dissipated after achieving this new form. Peerless being reference is the main thing that needs to be focused on here, implying that there is no other comparison or rival to his godly powers. Even though Shibai hasn't had his fight introduction yet, doesn't have any feats, doesn't have all the things that people are really looking for, we can still make an educational guess based on the numerous amount of narrative implications. But amen, say man, it's gonna be the end of today's video, man. It's the Big Jew, aka Juju Senpai, man. Y'all hit that like button, subscribe button, join the Discord, man. But I'm gonna be out with it, you heard, man.